Are you thinking about becoming an appraiser? Let me share with you my journey and where I am today. My journey started about 10 years ago when I started my exit strategy from the company that I owned. I started a very successful company in 1994 in the event industry. I knew I wanted to get out around the age of 45 so that I could have a different lifestyle with my family and raise my kids and enjoy the weekends with them. Even though every business is very demanding and has long hours, the event industry pretty much always requires you to work weekends. I did have over 20 employees and dozens of subcontractors, but I still could never get it to that point of running itself. So I decided to liquidate all its assets and retire out of that industry. In search of a new career, real estate always interests me, and I found that the appraisal industry really sparked my interest. I really liked the getting out of the office, going out and inspecting homes and putting a value on them, and just kind of the whole idea of it. So I started researching what's it going to take to become an appraiser. Well, I'm going to share with you what that is. So one of the first things you're going to have to do is get your education in it and determine what level of appraiser you want to be. Now, there is some requirements on each level. So your first level is your trainee. And with your trainee license, you're going to be required to get those 150 hours of educational coursework. I chose McKissock for that. McKissock was great. It was an online course, and I got through that in about 8 months. Next, above that is your residential license. Now, you're going to have to do 1,000 hours under a supervisor. This is one of the most difficult things to do. So finding a supervisor and someone to train you is the hardest, most difficult thing every appraiser faces. What we found is a lot of appraisers just don't want to do it. It's not their thing. They're not really a teacher. Or maybe they don't want to train their competition. They're in fear that you're going to be out and be competing for the same work. Others just don't want to spend the time. Or maybe they're retiring. Or maybe they've already trained a lot of trainees. We're just facing a lot of hurdles here in the industry for this trainee supervisor role. So you're going to have to find that. And then once that's done, you'll take your test, your state test. Now, the state test is a very difficult test. I've heard most people do not pass it the first time, or maybe even the second time. I haven't gotten there quite yet. I've done all my coursework, my educational work with McKissock. I have my 150 hours plus, and I'm in search of a supervisor. So my goal is a residential license, and then eventually to a certified. Unfortunately, I do not have a degree, so I can never go to a general. Now, a general usually does commercial and larger scale properties. The residential and the certified residential does have its limitations as well. I will need to do a few more hours, about 200 hours, to get to the certified residential level. But as a residential appraiser, I will be able to do that for about 5 years, and then I can do the certified residential. Now, if I get my bachelor's in the meantime, I can move up to that a lot faster. But in the meantime, residential is where I have my goal. Now, before I actually started all of this, I found an online course called the Appraiser Coach. It was very good, and I highly recommend him. I'll have a link in the description below, but it gave me a lot of insight into the industry and kind of how to find a supervisor. A lot of tips and tricks to that, which I will again talk about in another video about finding a supervisor, some of the things I'm doing and learned from that course. So in this journey is, of course, the costs. It's very expensive to take on this education. The coach that I found, he was $395 for that course. And then the McKissock course for all your educational hours is $1695. And then once you get through that, you can submit to the state for your trainee license. Now, California requires the full 150 hours. Some other states only require 75 hours, and then you can submit for your trainee license. Your trainee license is a little over $900. So all in all, right now, I've got close to $3,000 into this, and I'm not even out there working yet. So that is a little insight to my journey as an appraiser trainee. And I thank you for watching. Hopefully this was some helpful information for you, and look for some more videos on my journey at becoming an appraiser. Thank you.